Welcome to the law offices of Chris M. Ingram's Immigration News Show. Today we ask, are we making or breaking the American dream? We would like to thank attorney Chris M. Ingram and staff at the law offices of Chris M. Ingram for their hard work in preparing the research for this show, which draws on a wide variety of news sources from both sides of the aisle, providing a balanced view. Attorney Ingram is also a vocal advocate for the rights and protection of immigration applicants, although our coverage is designed to be nonpartisan. Please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to our channel. We are also on Spotify, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, Reddit, and Instagram, where we're growing rapidly thanks to our social media team. You can also visit our website on www.breakthroughUSA.com. We'd love to see you there. Okay, let's dive in. Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission today is to, cut through the noise surrounding U.S. immigration policy. It's everywhere, right?
Absolutely everywhere. It's hard to escape.
And the legal research our team compiled for us, it really highlights this crucial tension. You've got the promise of the American dream, opportunity, innovation, moving up.
The classic ideals, yeah.
Versus these aggressive enforcement tactics we're seeing and just this widespread public anxiety. It feels palpable.
Mm-hmm.
So for this deep dive, we are going to tackle everything. We'll look at Americans' deepest fears, those gut feelings, and compare them to the actual reality shown by economic data.
The facts on the ground.
Exactly. And then we'll pivot, look at what documented, high-skilled immigrants, the folks already here legally, need to focus on right now to secure their future in the U.S.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is how the legal research forces us to reconcile these complex policy decisions with simple human perception. It's a real clash sometimes.
How so?
Well, you have these stories of aggressive raids dominating the headlines, right? They raise profound questions about whether security measures are truly fortifying the nation.
Or maybe doing the opposite.
But perhaps, inadvertently eroding the very ideals of compassion and justice that America claims to represent. That's the tightrope.
So we'll be using this comprehensive research prepared by attorney Chris Ingram and his team to see if the U.S. is currently building a stronger, more economically resilient dream.
Or maybe dismantling it piece by piece for those seeking opportunity. That tension, between security and the ideals of humanity is really the absolute core of our conversation today.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Our legal team synthesized recent polls. We're talking stuff from just the last 30 days to figure out what Americans are actually worried about.
The hot button issues.
Right. And immigration. Still a top voter issue. It's frequently tangled up in the public mind with worries about economic stability and national security.
Always links.
But the data shows this complexity, this kind of paradox, which is our first aha moment. Check this out. A July Gallup poll showed 79% of Americans view immigration as, quote, good for the country. That's a record high.
79%. That's huge abstract approval.
Huge. Yet, paradoxically, our researchers found in a separate analysis that 48% of people still favor reduced immigration levels overall. How does that square?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it raises this incredibly important point we need to dig into. Why do these negative perceptions, this desire for reduction, why do they persist when so much of the empirical data suggests positive long-term outcomes?
Yeah, why the disconnect?
Well, it happens because public anxiety gets amplified, right? By specific incidents, media coverage, and just these deep-seated fears that are hard to shake.
Emotional responses.
Exactly. So we need to look at the top 5 concerns identified by our researchers and stack them directly against solid, evidence-based insights. We're talking organizations like the Migration Policy Institute, the CBO, economists like Giovanni Perry.
Okay, let's do it. Fact versus feeling.
This is where we try to bridge that gap.
All right, concern number 1, this is probably the most common one, the economic fear. That immigrants, both legal and undocumented, they flood the labor market. And the worry is they displace native-born workers, they push down wages, especially in, competitive sectors like manufacturing, tech, construction.
You hear this all the time, particularly when the economy feels shaky.
Right, during downturns especially.
But the reality, based on the studies our team looked at from 2022 to 2025, it paints a completely different picture. Yeah. Research consistently shows that the negative impacts of immigration on native wages and job displacement are actually minimal, really small.
Minimal, so not the big job drain people fear.
Not really. And more importantly, those small, localized impacts, they are overwhelmingly offset by broader economic positives. Think labor market growth, increased demand for goods and services. Immigrants buy things, too.
Let's put some numbers on this because that's pretty counterintuitive. Our researchers highlighted a comprehensive 2025 Dallas Fed report. This was led by economists Pia Renius and Madeline Zavodny.
Ah, yes, I know that study. Very thorough.
They showed the cost of not having immigration. They found that declining immigration levels could actually reduce overall U.S. GDP growth by as much as 0.81 percentage points.
0.81%. That is a massive chunk of economic expansion just gone, lost, simply because the labor pool shrinks. It's staggering when you think about it.
It really is, and it's not just about a slower economy overall, is it? It could be worse.
Oh, much worse. It's about potential outright destruction. The Economic Policy Institute, EPI, they did projections. They found that, hypothetically, if the U.S. tried large-scale deportations—
There's some politicians talk about.
Right. It wouldn't save jobs. It would destroy millions of jobs, including for U.S.-born workers.
How does that work?
Because our economy is so interconnected. Think about it. If you suddenly remove a huge chunk of the labor force from agriculture or construction, the supply chains break down. The associated manufacturing jobs, the trucking jobs, the retail jobs, all held by U.S.-born workers, they ripple outwards and collapse.
That is fascinating. It completely flips that zero-sum narrative, the idea that the economic pie is fixed and immigrants are just taking a slice.
Exactly. That fixed pie thinking is where the fear comes from. But look at high-skilled workers, right? Folks on H-1B visas, for instance.
To STEM talent.
Precisely. Research from the American Immigration Council, and this draws heavily on Giovanni Perri's work, illustrates how these skilled immigrants actually complement native workers. They don't just compete, they often create new roles.
How do they complement?
Well, they start companies at higher rates. They file patents, leading to new products and industries, and crucially, they hire local staff. They actually expand the economic pie through innovation and entrepreneurship.
So the overwhelming evidence points to immigrants filling essential labor gaps and stimulating demand.
That's what the bulk of the research suggests, yes.
Yeah.
Filling gaps, boosting demand. Our researchers noted that attorney Chris Ingram strongly emphasizes this complementary effect. He apparently often says, immigration isn't about taking jobs. It's about growing the pie for everyone.
And he sees that firsthand with his clients.
That's what the note says, yes. Witnessing it daily through their innovation.
Okay, let's move to concern number 2. The perceived strain on public resources. The fear here is about overburdening services, healthcare, schools, welfare.
The things taxpayers fund.
Right. And the fiscal drain on local and state economies. People worry it contributes to things like housing shortages, increased taxpayer burdens. This is the fear that hits, close to home for a lot of people. It feels very direct.
And, this fear is particularly acute and maybe more understandable in states and cities that experience really rapid, sometimes unplanned population surges.
Like border communities or certain sanctuary cities getting busloads of people.
Exactly. Those initial, immediate local strains, overcrowded classrooms, stretched emergency rooms, those are absolutely real. We have to acknowledge that's a serious logistical challenge for local governments.
But there's a but, right? If we zoom out, look at the bigger picture nationally.
That's the key. If you zoom out to the national level, the research consistently counters this narrative. It shows immigrants contribute far more in taxes and economic activity than they consume in services over the long term.
More in than they take out.
Over their lifetimes, yes.
Yeah.
That's the critical distinction. The American Enterprise Institute, and they're a prominent conservative policy research group, it's worth noting, finds an overall positive fiscal impact, especially from high-skilled immigrants.
Why, especially high-skilled?
Because they tend to have higher lifetime earnings, pay more in taxes, and consume less in terms of social safety nets. They generate significant surplus revenues for the federal system. They are net fiscal contributors.
And the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, they put a number on this recently, didn't they? Our researchers flagged their 2024 analysis.
They did, and it was pretty dramatic. CBO Director Philip Swagel quantified how recent surges in immigration have actually boosted federal revenues. Through expanded labor force participation, more people working, and increased payroll taxes. This directly helped lower projected budget deficits.
So the very thing people worry about being a burden actually helps the national budget.
At the federal level, yes. That's what the CBO found. It directly addresses that taxpayer burden fear on a national scale.
It's It's the nuance that gets lost in the public debate, isn't it? The local versus national picture.
Completely lost. Well, there's definitely a real need for, say, targeted federal aid to help manage those immediate local capacity challenges we talked about.
Help the schools and hospitals cope.
Right. The national demographic and economic gains prevail over time. MPI studies consistently show immigration drives job growth, boosts productivity, and crucially prevents stagnation in our aging U.S. population.
We need younger workers.
In essence, yes. The U.S. needs the younger, working-age demographic that immigrants often represent to sustain its federal fiscal health, things like Social Security and Medicare down the line.
They said my EB-1 needed more categories. I can't even dock. What am I gonna do?
I need to find the right lawyer that can navigate me through this crisis. I need my EB-1 so my new life can begin. These lawyers are amazing. They are walking me through every questions, making sure I don't miss a thing. Thanks to the law offices of Chris M. Ingram, I'm cleared to land. But my career is gonna take off.
Houston. He got his visa.
Need help with your visa? Book your free consultation now at www.breakthroughusa.com and let us take care of you.
All right, concern 3, crime and public safety. This one taps into some deep anxieties, doesn't it? Often fueled by media coverage of maybe isolated but very high-profile incidents.
Definitely plays on fear.
Linking immigration, especially undocumented immigration, to rising crime rates, drug trafficking, gang activity like MS-13, or more recently, Trinidad.
Yeah, that narrative is powerful. But again, the empirical data, particularly the research our team analyzed from 2022 to 2025, overwhelmingly refutes a general connection.
Overwhelmingly.
Yes. You simply cannot find a credible, large-scale longitudinal study that links increased immigration flows to an overall rise in crime rates nationally or even in most localities.
So what does the data actually show?
Pew Research Center's 2025 findings confirmed what many previous studies found. Immigrants commit crimes at significantly lower rates than native-born populations.
Lower rates across the board.
Pretty much across almost every demographic and crime category studied. The difference is often quite stark.
That disparity is huge then. I mean, why is the fear so persistent if the data is so conclusive on this? It feels like this one should be settled.
It's a great question. Several reasons, probably. First, as you said, media amplification. One horrific crime committed by an immigrant gets far more attention than thousands of crimes committed by native-born citizens. It creates a distorted perception.
Availability heuristic, right? We remember the vivid example.
Exactly. Second, policy groups like the American Immigration Council, the AIC, they note that immigrants often have powerful deterrents to criminal activity that native-born citizens don't face quite the same way.
Like what?
Primarily, the fear of deportation. It hangs over everything. Getting arrested, even for a minor offense, could mean losing everything they've worked for and being separated from their families. That acts as a really powerful non-judicial mechanism for maintaining law and order within those communities.
So the stakes are much higher for them.
Much higher. And the Migration Policy Institute, MPI, cites multiple longitudinal studies showing that, per capita, U.S.-born individuals commit more crimes than foreign-born residents.
That's the ultimate irony, isn't it? The people we are often told to be most afraid of are statistically the least likely to commit crimes. It almost feels like the whole enforcement narrative should shift focus.
Logically, it should. The empirical evidence points toward immigration, on the whole, enhancing public safety through economic vitality and social cohesion, not eroding it. Healthier communities tend to be safer communities.
And attorney Chris Ingram's perspective on this.
Our attorney shared a note on that. Apparently, Chris consistently observes in his practice that immigrants come to America to build better lives, not to break laws. And he feels the research simply proves what he sees daily, that they generally make our communities safer, not more dangerous.
Okay, the last two concerns identified by our researchers are kind of interwoven. Concern 4 is this frustration with a perceived loss of control. Control over borders, control over policy.
A sense that the system is broken or overwhelmed.
Exactly. It focuses on border policy inefficiencies, worries about asylum fraud, gaps in enforcement. People feel the government isn't managing the situation effectively.
And this is definitely a system confidence issue. Our team acknowledges, and the research confirms, that systemic gaps absolutely exist. Things like the huge backlogs in asylum adjudication, the inability to quickly process claims fairly tackled. These things undoubtedly erode public trust.
It fuels the narrative of chaos.
It does. However, the research also highlights improving efforts in border effectiveness. It's not a static picture. Bloomberg government's 2025 guide, for instance, details how recent policy shifts are trying to enhance effectiveness.
Wow.
Through better technology, think AI-powered surveillance, better data integration, and also renewed international cooperation agreements, especially with Mexico, to manage migration flows before they reach the U.S. border.
So it's not a complete collapse of control, maybe, but a really complex management challenge, one that needs, well, probably bipartisan solutions.
That seems to be the consensus in the policy analysis, yes. The Council on Foreign Relations, various bipartisan reform proposals, like those put forward by the Center for American Progress in 2025, they all emphasize that restoring public confidence hinges on improving the speed and fairness of the legal process itself, making the system work better.
Makes sense. Okay, and finally, concern 5. Anxieties about cultural and demographic shifts.
The culture wars aspect.
Yeah, this is the fear of eroding national identity through increasing diversity. And in its most extreme forms, you hear about so-called replacement theories.
This is where subjective perception really clashes head-on with sociological data, isn't it?
It feels like it. What does the research say about assimilation and cultural impact?
Well, research consistently demonstrates positive outcomes from integration, not negative ones. USC Dornsife, for example, highlights strong assimilation trends.
Meaning immigrants adopt American norms.
Yes, things like English proficiency, civic values, they adopt them remarkably quickly, often within a generation. But crucially, they do this while simultaneously enriching society with their own cultural contributions. It's additive, not subtractive.
So not replacing culture, but adding layers to it?
Precisely. They're not erasing American culture. They're adding new threads to the tapestry. And studies from places like Oxford and Boston University, they support this idea of enrichment over erosion. They find that diverse societies tend to be more resilient, more creative, and more dynamic economically.
Why is that?
More perspectives lead to better problem solving, more innovation. The fear is often about change, about things feeling different. But the reality, according to the data, is about growth and adaptation, which have always been strengths of the U.S.
Okay, so this first section, looking at these top 5 fears, it really shows that while the fears themselves are deep-seated, they feel real to people and maybe need addressing through better policy management.
Absolutely. The logistical challenges and system failures need fixing.
But the economic and safety data often serves as a really powerful counterpoint to the most common negative narratives. The facts often don't support the intensity of the fear.
That's a fair summary of what the research our team gathered indicates.
Okay, let's transition now. We've talked about the stats, the polls, the fears versus the data. Now let's look at the messy reality on the ground.
Where policy hits pavement.
Exactly. That tension between public fear, security policy, and the human cost, it's crystal clear in the recent Chicago operations. This is a real-world manifestation of those concerns about control and crime we just discussed. Our legal research details Operation Midway Blitz, launched in September 2025.
Yeah, this Chicago situation serves as a really stark illustration of the American dream's dual edges, doesn't it? You have the promise of opportunity, but it's shattered by the very real threat of removal, sometimes violently.
Tell us about the operation itself.
Well, the operations were spearheaded by the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, Undersecretary Christie Noam. They've resulted in over 1,000 arrests of undocumented immigrants in the Chicago area.
1,000 arrests is a lot. Who were they targeting?
They explicitly stated they were targeting, quote, the worst of the worst. Their press releases mention known gang members, individuals with convictions for violent crimes or child abuse, and specifically affiliates of the really brutal Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua.
Okay, so focusing on serious criminal elements.
That was the stated objective, yes. Prioritize public safety and, very pointedly, aggressively challenge local sanctuary policies that they argue impede federal immigration enforcement efforts.
So a direct confrontation with Chicago's sanctuary status.
Very much so. Hashtag TACTAG 2.1, the tactics and support right-leaning perspective.
Now, the tactics used in these operations immediately generated huge controversy, didn't they? Because of how visible and, well, aggressive they were.
Highly controversial. Our team's research details accounts of helicopter raids sweeping through communities, sometimes at dawn. There were reports of tear gas being deployed near residential areas, even close to schools.
Tear gas near schools.
That's what was reported. And also accounts of families being detained using zip ties, methods that critics immediately jumped on, likening the whole thing to operations you'd see in a war zone.
Strong language. How is this viewed from the political right?
Sources and voices on the right strongly supported these, let's call them heavy-handed measures. Fox News, for example, praised the sweep, characterizing it as a necessary step for making Illinois safe again. They framed it purely as a law and order success.
What about officials? DHS.
Official commentary from DHS mirrored this aggressive stance. DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin asserted publicly that the administration would not allow violent criminals to terrorize our neighborhoods. And she added pointedly, they wouldn't allow sanctuary politicians or violent rioters to stop us from executing their mission.
So framing opponents as protectors of criminals or rioters.
That was the implication. And politically, Senator Lindsey Graham offered strong support. He publicly stated something like, if there ever was a city that needed federal assistance to control its illegal immigration and crime problem, it is Chicago.
Wow.
And former President Trump weighed in too, vowing to supporters that if elected, we are going to save Chicago from horrible crime. So this entire perspective from the right frames the operation as a necessary, forceful reclamation of sovereignty, federal authority, and public safety against perceived local resistance and disorder. Hashtag tag 2.2, the condemnation and overreach allegations. Left-leaning perspective.
Feeling lost in a maze of visa types and paperwork? Don't know where to turn? We've got your back. With clear answers and real help, we'll guide you every step of the way. Let's navigate it together. Your journey starts today.
Hello, you must be Clara. Welcome to the law office of Chris M. Ingram.
Finally, I found a law firm that will help me achieve my American dream.
At this law firm, you are important to us. That's why we will be with you every step of the way. So join us at the office of Chris M. Ingram.
Okay, so that's one side. What was the reaction from the other side? The political left? Human rights groups?
Immediate and fierce condemnation. They highlighted deep community fears and pushed allegations of gross overreach by federal agents.
What kind of allegations?
Outlets like CBS News, the AP, The Guardian, they detailed what they called the brazen nature of the raids. They reported troubling incidents, like a local city council member allegedly being unlawfully handcuffed during one operation.
Handcuffing an elected official.
That was the report. And also claims of indiscriminate arrests, people being swept up who apparently had no criminal history, just happened to be in the wrong place during a raid.
So not just the worst of the worst being picked up.
That was the allegation from critics, yes. That the net was cast much wider. The Democratic political response was, well, immediate and scathing.
Governor Pritzker.
Governor J.B. Pritzker blasted the operation. He called it Trump's invasion force. He argued that federal agents were harassing and detaining many people based only on the color of their skin. He used that phrase, making it a war zone, and specifically mentioned agents firing tear gas and smoke grenades indiscriminately at protesters who had gathered.
And Mayor Johnson, Chicago's mayor?
Mayor Brandon Johnson escalated the rhetoric even further. He called the federal actions terrorism.
Yeah.
It's a very strong word.
Terrorism. Wow.
Yes. And he compared the federal government's operation to the actions of the Confederacy during the Civil War, really emphasizing this perceived invasion of local governance and rights by an outside federal force.
That's quite a comparison. Were there legal challenges?
Immediately. The National Immigrant Justice Center, NIJC, filed a lawsuit right away. They alleged that ICE made unlawful arrests operating without proper warrants, lacking probable cause, and specifically targeting sensitive locations like schools and hospitals, which is generally against ICE's own guidelines.
Targeting sensitive locations.
That was the claim in the lawsuit. Other legal groups cited accounts from witnesses of agents who unnecessarily and indiscriminately targeted, assaulted, tear-gassed protesters who were attempting to peacefully block arrest vans.
So conflicting narratives.
Yeah.
Necessary enforcement versus rights violations.
Exactly. And the independent analysis within the legal research our team reviewed suggests a key problem. When enforcement prioritizes high-profile optics and meeting arrest quotas.
Making the numbers look good.
Right. Federal agents can become the wrong tool for addressing nuanced community safety concerns. Instead of precisely removing dangerous individuals, these large-scale aggressive tactics risk exacerbating division, sowing fear in entire communities, and ultimately undermining trust rather than ensuring security.
This whole situation just screams for nuance, doesn't it? We have to try and separate the valid objective removing genuine threats, like violent gang members involved in trafficking or extortion,
Which most people would agree is necessary.
from the potentially highly destructive tactics being used. The research our team compiled really shows that when enforcement tactics blur into looking like an occupation, when they breed terror, whether that terror manifests as community fear or even retaliatory attacks on agents or protests that then get labeled domestic terrorism.
It creates a vicious cycle.
It does, and they risk alienating the very economic contributors and potential future citizens the nation actually needs. The key question this Chicago case study leaves us with, I think, is whether true progress in public safety demands precision and intelligence or spectacle and brute quotas.
A critical question with no easy answers.
Okay, let's pivot now. Let's shift decisively away from the turbulence of policy debates and these intense enforcement controversies. Let's talk empowerment.
A more positive focus.
Yes. We need to look at what documented immigrants, folks here legally, working, paying taxes, especially those in high-skilled STEM fields, what should they be prioritizing right now?
Good question. Because the political noise can be distracting, even frightening.
Exactly. Our legal research, and this draws heavily on studies from MPI and the National Foundation for American Policy, and FP, it emphasizes that these professionals are fundamentally America's innovation engine, regardless of the political climate shifts.
That's a point worth stressing. And our attorneys also remind us that people who hold valid visas, H-1Bs, L-1s, O-1s, those already in the green card process, they remain largely unaffected by a lot of the political noise and even specific changes like new fees often target initial petitions, not necessarily extensions or amendments for those already in the system.
So don't panic over every headline.
Essentially, yes. The crucial takeaway is to maintain an unwavering focus on your long-term career and immigration advancement. Don't let the short-term political theater derail your goals.
Okay, so this segment provides 5 strategic prizes, as our researchers called them, that these professionals should target. Ways to harness their talent for lasting personal impact and also national impact.
Right, focusing on what you can control.
Prize number 1. Drive innovation and patent leadership. This seems like a clear, quantifiable opportunity for both impact and, frankly, job security.
Absolutely. STEM immigrants consistently lead in critical areas like patents and R&D output. A 2024 NFA study showed that H-1B holders contribute disproportionately to tech advancements. Get this. Indian nationals alone accounted for 72% of all H-1B approvals in fiscal year 2023.
72%, just from India.
Just from India for H-1Bs. That shows you where a huge chunk of the high-end global tech talent is coming from and where it's landing in the U.S.
And the economic impact of that.
Economist Giovanni Perry, who we mentioned earlier, notes that skilled migration boosts productivity by an impressive 15 to 20% in high-tech sectors. That boost is directly attributable to the innovation driven by this specific demographic.
So the strategy here is
capitalize on that expertise. Be proactive. Pursue high-level collaborations within your company or with universities. Secure research grants. If you have an idea, explore launching a startup. The goal is to solidify your professional legacy, make your contribution indispensable both to your employer and to the U.S. economy overall.
Become invaluable.
Essentially, yes.
Okay, focus number 2. Advance toward permanent residency and citizenship. This feels like the ultimate goal for many.
It is. It's about long-term stability and security. Documented professionals should be aggressively exploring and leveraging the existing pathways.
Like the EB categories.
Exactly. Things like the EB-1 visa for persons of extraordinary ability, outstanding researchers, or multinational managers, or the EB-2 visa for those with advanced degrees or exceptional ability, often requiring the PRM labor certification process.
And are these pathways stable?
Generally, yes. USCIS clarifications have ensured that extensions for valid H-1Bs, for example, continue to proceed smoothly even while green card applications are pending, offering stability during potentially long processing times. You're not usually kicked out while waiting if you maintain your underlying status.
That's crucial reassurance.
It is. Furthermore, a 2024 MPI report highlights that there are faster processing options available specifically for STEM PhDs, often through premium processing upgrades for certain petition stages.
So for those with PhDs, it can be quicker.
Potentially, yes. The strategy here must be proactive. Don't just wait. Consult with immigration experts early and often. Track your progress meticulously through the USCIS systems. Gather strong letters of recommendation and endorsements, especially for categories like EB-1 or EB-2 and IW National Interest Waiver.
It's about actively managing the process.
Absolutely. Converting that temporary status, H-1B, L-1, whatever it is, into permanent residency. Getting the green card. That's the ultimate step toward insulating yourself from short-term policy volatility and political wins. It's the biggest prize in terms of security.
Focus number 3, build elite professional networks. Why is networking so critical beyond just finding the next job?
It's crucial for accelerating career trajectories and, importantly, maximizing innovation potential. The Kauffman Foundation's research, for instance, reveals that immigrant-founded firms create jobs at twice the rate of native-born founded firms in STEM fields.
Twice the rate. Wow.
Yeah, and that kind of entrepreneurial success doesn't happen in a vacuum. It relies entirely on deep cross-industry connections, knowing the right people, accessing funding, finding collaborators.
So networks fuel that higher rate of job creation.
They certainly help. Pro-immigration advocate Vivek Wadhwa has often stressed how professional networks accelerate careers and open doors to venture capital, to strategic partnerships, especially in hyper-competitive ecosystems like Silicon Valley, Boston, Austin.
It's who you know still matters.
It really does, especially at higher levels. So the strategy here is active engagement. Don't just focus inward on your specific job. Seek out mentorship opportunities, both as a mentor and mentee. Join prestigious industry panels or conferences present your work. Participate actively in professional associations relevant to your field, like the IEE, Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, for engineers, or others specific to biotech, AI, etc.
Get visible, get connected.
Exactly. Amplify your influence and gain access to the opportunities that often exist outside the public job market or formal promotion structures.
Number 4, optimize financial and investment strategies. We touched on the economic contributions earlier, but this is about personal financial health.
Right. And the research shows high-skilled immigrants often achieve financial mobility quite rapidly, sometimes faster than many native-born Americans. They contribute billions in taxes, yes, but they also build wealth. A 2025 Federal Reserve study confirmed this rapid financial advancement, often noticeable within the first decade of residency.
There are just too many visas out there, and I don't know which one is right for us. We need to get the right advice.
Communication is everything, and I just need someone who will listen and guide me to the right visa type, and not make promises that they can't deliver.
There are so many documents. I need someone to walk me through each one. I can't afford to make any mistakes.
If I can just find a lawyer who understands my potential, I know America will be an excellent opportunity for me and my family.
Welcome to the law offices of Chris M. Ingram, and we are your immigration lawyers, and we will be with you every step of the way in your immigration journey.
At the law office of Chris M. Ingram, you get a free consultation so we can understand your needs.
We don't make promises we can't keep. Our success rate speaks for itself.
Join us and access your step-by-step video guides that answer every visa question.
Their platform is amazing. There are videos that instruct you on everything you have to do. It meant we were in control and we could do it in our own time.
They couldn't have been more helpful. They answered every question that I had, and it was easy to see they were the lawyers for me.
I couldn't believe it with my busy schedule. They always had time to talk to me and put me at ease. That's what I like about them.
So go on our website and get your free consultation now, and your new life is about to begin.
Ask me.
We did it! We did it!
We did it!
Oh my God, I got my visa! Yes, I did it!
So they're doing well financially, generally speaking.
Generally, the high-skilled cohort is. Economist Pia Orenius emphasizes the vital role these professionals play not just in innovation, but in overall economic resilience through their consumption and investment. So the strategy for the individual is critical. Capitalize on this potential for robust wealth accumulation. Meaning, don't just earn a good salary, manage it wisely. Develop diversified investment portfolios, utilizing stocks, bonds, maybe real estate once established. Maximize retirement savings plans like 401k, especially if your employer offers a match.
Build that nest egg.
Precisely. These strategies secure your own financial future, which is obviously important, but they also provide an essential layer of insulation from policy noise or potential economic downturns. Financial stability reinforces legal stability and gives you more options.
And the fifth focus, champion global talent integration. This sounds a bit different. It's not just about personal advancement.
Not directly, no. This is about leveraging your position and experience to benefit the wider ecosystem. Immigrants should focus on championing diversity itself within their workplaces and fields. And this isn't just, a feel-good objective. It's a tangible competitive advantage for U.S. companies.
How so?
Remember that 2024 Harvard Business Review analysis we mentioned? It found that diverse STEM teams with different backgrounds, perspectives, nationalities, they innovate 19% more effectively than homogeneous teams.
19% more effectively. That's significant.
It's huge in a competitive global landscape. So the strategy here is twofold. First, actively blend your own technical prowess with your unique cultural insights to foster more inclusive and creative teams. Bring your whole self to work, so to speak.
Don't suppress your background.
Right. Second, consider leading or participating in diversity initiatives within your organization. Mentor junior employees from different backgrounds. Promote cultural exchanges. This not only enhances your own personal fulfillment and leadership profile, but it significantly contributes to national progress by making American workplaces more creative, more efficient, and ultimately better equipped to solve complex global problems.
So it benefits everyone.
It really does. And our legal team emphasized this point again. Attorney Chris Ingram often notes that things like the recent clarifications on fees, primarily affecting initial petitions, just reaffirm the ongoing opportunities for valid visa holders. His message seems to be, embrace your role in driving STEM excellence, champion integration, and watch your contributions continue to redefine and strengthen the American dream.
Focus on the contribution, focus on the long game.
That seems to be the core advice for documented professionals navigating the current climate.
Okay, so despite all the negative press, the enforcement headlines like the Chicago situation we discussed, the political back and forth.
The
noise, exactly. Our research confirms the American dream isn't actually extinguished, maybe battered sometimes, but resilient. And vitally important, not just for immigrants, but for the U.S. itself, right?
Absolutely vital. We need to look at the enduring fundamental selling points that still make the U.S. worth the often difficult journey for aspiring STEM professionals worldwide. Why do they still want to come here, even amidst the political headwinds?
What keeps the U.S. attractive?
Well, fundamentally, we are still the world's premier innovation hub, period. The research points to three undeniable reasons why the U.S. remains globally competitive, effectively countering the narrative of decline or policy volatility, making us unattractive. Hashtag tag 4.1, unparalleled ecosystem for innovation.
Reason one, the unparalleled ecosystem for innovation. Talk about that.
It's about the sheer financial power and the density of our innovation clusters. These are globally unmatched. You have Silicon Valley, obviously. You have Boston's incredible concentration of biotech, pharma, and top universities. You have emerging, booming hubs like Austin, Seattle, the Research Triangle Park in North Carolina.
And the money is here.
Critically, the venture capital flows freely here, in a way it just doesn't elsewhere. VC investment topped $170 billion in 2024, just for tech deals alone. That scale of risk capital, that willingness to fund ambitious ideas, it's simply unavailable in most other countries.
And immigrants are key to this ecosystem.
They were fundamental drivers of it. The research our team found is striking. Immigrants founded 55%, over half of America's billion-dollar startups, the so-called unicorns.
55%, that's incredible.
It is, and they hold over half of all PhD positions in critical STEM fields within U.S. universities. They're patenting at incredible rates, fueling breakthroughs in AI, quantum computing, renewable energy, medicine, you name it. Without this steady inflow of global talent, the U.S. loses its competitive edge almost immediately.
And are there efforts to keep this talent here? Because getting them here for a PhD is one thing, keeping them is another.
Yes. And crucially, there are bipartisan political efforts aimed squarely at retaining this talent. Bills like the proposed Keep STEM Talent Act of 2025 aim to offer simplified pathways to permanent residency, to green cards, specifically for foreign nationals earning advanced STEM degrees from U.S. universities.
Making it easier for them to stay after graduation.
Exactly. And even for those just starting out, the STEM OPT Extension Program optional practical training is huge. It allows international students on F1 visas who graduate with STEM degrees to work in their field in the U.S. for up to 3 years after graduation.
That's a long runway to get experience and maybe find an employer to sponsor them.
A crucial runway. It helps bridge the gap from student to professional. The Wharton budget model actually projected that this kind of focus on attracting and retaining high-skilled immigrants could add something like 2.9 million STEM workers to the U.S. economy by 2054. That figure is essential if we want to maintain our global scientific and technological superiority. Hashtag 4.2, economic rewards remain unmatched.
Okay, reason 2, economic rewards remain unmatched. Money talks, right?
Right, it certainly does. And simply put, the financial rewards available in U.S. STEM careers are, on average, still the best in the world.
Better than Europe, Asia.
Generally, yes. STEM salaries here average $100,000 or more, often significantly more. Top earners in fields like specialized software engineering, AI research, certain areas of biotech R&D, they can exceed $200,000, sometimes much higher. That far surpasses the typical compensation packages for similar roles in most global peer countries.
And their contribution isn't just their own private wealth, right? We talked about the GDP impact.
Right. A CSIS report noted that each foreign-born STEM worker adds somewhere between $12,000 and $13,000 net to the national GDP annually, after accounting for any services they might use. And pathways exist specifically to fast-track these high-value individuals.
Like the EB-1 visa again?
Exactly. The EB-1A for extraordinary ability in particular allows truly top-tier individuals to petition for a green card for themselves without needing a job offer or going through the lengthy PRM labor certification process. It's designed for the best of the best.
And the dream of success here is real. People achieve it.
The data says yes. Homeownership rates for naturalized citizens, immigrants who have become U.S. citizens, hit a remarkable 70%, which actually surpasses the rate for some native-born demographic segments.
Higher than some native groups. Wow.
Yeah. And Brookings Institution studies consistently affirm that intergenerational mobility, the chance for children to achieve a higher economic status than their parents, absolutely soars for immigrant families compared to families in many other developed nations.
So the kids do better.
Significantly better, on average. The dream of entrepreneurial success is also very much alive. Foreign-born founders aren't just starting unicorns. They generate about 25% of all new U.S. patents. The economic opportunity structure remains incredibly potent. Hashtag 4.3, liberty, diversity, and freedom endure.
Okay, and the third enduring selling point, liberty, diversity, and freedom endure. This is more about the ideals.
It is, and it shouldn't be underestimated. Beyond the sheer economics, the foundational ideals of the U.S. still hold immense appeal globally. The U.S. Constitution protects fundamental rights, freedom of speech, religion, assembly for everyone, creating unique environments where, ideally, merit can triumph over background.
And diversity plays a role here, too.
A huge role. That cultural fusion we talked about, it sparks creativity. Remember the Harvard Business Review finding? Diverse STEM teams innovate 19% more effectively. Why? Because they bring different perspectives, different ways of thinking, different problem-solving approaches to the table. That inherent diversity, while sometimes causing friction, is a massive long-term strength.
People still believe in the dream itself.
It seems so. A 2025 Archbridge Institute snapshot showed that even amidst all the national uncertainty and division, 70% of Americans still believe the American dream is alive and achievable. And interestingly, that belief is often strongest among immigrants themselves, people who have demonstrated incredible resilience just by overcoming the immense obstacles to get here.
So the negativity doesn't kill the aspiration?
Apparently not for many. Despite all the negative media coverage about enforcement or political gridlock, the U.S. still attracted 54% more international STEM students in 2024 than its closest global competitor. People are still voting with their feet, choosing to come here.
54% more. That's a commanding lead.
It is. It suggests that the core promise, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness endures. The idea that here, cultural diversity is ultimately seen and utilized as a strength, not a threat, remains a powerful magnet. The U.S. fundamentally needs the genius and drive of talented newcomers from all over the world to fuel its future. And that underlying need, perhaps, is the ultimate security for global talent, considering the journey. Hashtag tech synthesis and final thought. So wrapping up, we've really gone on a journey today. We started by examining those deep-seated public fears about immigration, fears about jobs, resources, crime control, culture, which, as the research our team gathered shows, are often significantly overstated when compared to the rigorous economic and safety data.
The disconnect between perception and reality.
Exactly. Then we looked at how specific enforcement operations, like the Midway Bliss in Chicago, can really exacerbate division and fear, even as they aim to restore public confidence and security. It highlights the risks of prioritizing spectacle over precision.
The human cost of policy.
Right. And finally, we outlined how documented immigrants, especially high-skilled STEM professionals, can maintain focus, driving innovation, seeking permanent status, building networks, managing finances, championing integration. And we looked at why the U.S. still remains a top destination thanks to its innovation ecosystem, economic rewards, and enduring freedoms. How internal focus for immigrants and external attraction efforts for global talent keep the American dream resilient, keep it moving forward.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, trying to make sense of this complex issue? The research curated by attorney Chris Ingram and his dedicated team really poses some crucial questions for all of us, doesn't it?
It really does.
Like, can data-driven reassurances, can facts and figures truly dispel those deep-seated fears that seem much more emotional and cultural, not just factual? Is it possible to bridge that gap?
A fundamental communication challenge.
And do these large-scale enforcement operations, intended maybe to restore a sense of control, do they actually achieve genuine, lasting safety? Or do they do it without eroding public trust? Or are they perhaps sometimes just a costly spectacle that divides communities further and alienates the very talent we need?
These are the hard policy trade-offs. Ultimately, the path forward requires deliberate, hopefully evidence-based policy choices. The research confirms the American dream persists. It's thriving in many ways, driven by innovation and demographic necessity. But its future really hinges on a collective choice.
A choice between what?
A choice. Will we as a society prioritize hard evidence over emotional echo chambers? Will we choose policy precision and fairness over political spectacle and fear-mongering?
That really brings us to our final thought for you to consider based on this deep dive. Policy, as we've seen, will continue to shift and evolve, often driven by unpredictable political winds. That's going to create periods of turbulence and uncertainty. That seems inevitable.
History suggests so.
But history also shows that America's unique, exceptional resilience lies in its remarkable ability, time and again, to integrate newcomers' dreams, their ambition, their talent, their energy, with its own core values of ambition, opportunity, and freedom. So maybe the question we should all ask ourselves is this: are we committed to choosing bridges, not barriers, to rebuild and strengthen the American dream together for the next generation?
A powerful question to end on.
Thank you so much for being with us today. We hope you gained a lot from this discussion. Please leave us a comment if you can. Additionally, you can support our channel by sharing it with your friends and family, helping us build this community together. Also, follow us on Spotify, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and Instagram, where we're growing rapidly thanks to our social media team. We would also like to thank attorney Chris M. Ingram and his dedicated team once again for researching and preparing this material for our presentation. If you, a friend, or a family member would like a free consultation, you can visit our website at www.breakthroughusa.com and schedule an appointment. We'd love to hear from you and help you if we can. See you next time on Let's Talk U.S. Immigration. Bye for now.